Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we've just got some news. We've got a ×10 summoning stuff coming this weekend, but there's also a guaranteed legendary champion. It is with ancient shards. I know we've all kind of been like burning shards over the last couple of weeks. Honestly, it's a struggle, but I also know that some people have been patient and they've held on to their ancients. They didn't pull during the week. They weren't kind of baited in by the get one legendary, get one free, because there's been a big rumor that this is happening probably for like the last week and a half. I actually don't know where the rumor's coming from, but it seems like the rumors are spot on over the last, week and a half, 2 weeks or so. So, you know, they kind of predicted the 1+1 legendary. They predicted this exact champion, and then they've also predicted another void one coming. As I say, it must be some sort of spill from the actual people that are playing or building the game or whatever, because they are absolutely spot on. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'll do the guaranteed first, and then I'll talk about the 10 times. I guess it's worth saying, like, if you're going to go for the guaranteed, then you're in the mix of going for these kind of champions in the 10 times anyway. And if you're going for the guaranteed, I guess at least will get you some stuff in this cruddy path. So up to you. It's also worth saying that there's bound to be a fusion popping in like a week or 2 weeks time, and they might be a good champion, they might not, we don't know. So let's dive in. Let's get into who this champion is. I think he's in here. Yes. Stalter's Dragonbane is the guaranteed. And it is going to be, let me make sure I get this right. It is going to be for 150 ancient shards. My old free-to-play would have definitely got this dude. Yeah, I'm not running it anymore. But yeah, my old free-to-play had enough shards for this dude. It would be a new one for my main account. And this is a great champion. So defense-based hero, speed, HP. This guy is a tank, but can also pack a punch. So we've got an A1 double hitter. If the target's under any debuff, each hit decreases target's turn meter by 10%. So you've got a 20% turn meter drop on the A1 with some good damage, defense-based. Then got an AoE double hit. Each hit, chance of placing stun, 50-50, goes up to 65. You've almost got like a guaranteed stun. Can you imagine what Seal does? Yeah, this is Seal, but with the percentage increased by a lot. Again, we're talking about power creep here. This is just an upgraded version of the Seal stun or the Fushan stun with an extra like 20% like whacked on top. So this is a very high percentage chance on a 3-turn of a stun. And I've got to say, this one hits hard. Let me just grab the info from the website here. Anyone can do this, by the way. Hellhades.com. We have all the multipliers for any champion in here. You can just grab the champion you're looking for and take a look. But yeah, the double hitter is godlike, which means it's in the top 12.5% of all abilities. Yeah, this is one of the hardest hitting defense abilities in the game. So bear that in mind as well. It's a decent hit with 20% extra damage from books. And then we've got the A3, which is an increased defense buff for him for 3 turns. Actually really long on a 4-turn cooldown here. Then goes for another AoE hit. Now on this one, you're going to be placing decreased crit damage on high attack champions, decreased speed on high defense champions. Now, if you're talking for like PvE content, almost all champions, even defensive-based champions, have got high attack. So for a lot of the content, you're going to be placing decreased crit damage, which is definitely the worst of these 2 debuffs, but it's still strong. Like, it's a strong ability. And again, let me just check what sort of multipliers. This one's got, it's another godlike nuke. So you've got 2 absolute nukes for his AoEs, which is great to see. You've then got a passive as well. Whenever an enemy attempts to place weaken, decrease defense or poison, don't forget he's Dragonbane. He's got Draco's skin all over him. So when everyone's trying to place those debuffs on him, damage increases by 5% for each debuff on the target. So it's solid. Pretty much, you know, there's a lot of content where you've got people trying to place these 3 debuffs. So he's reflecting them back onto the attacker, and then he's going to do harder hits on those people. I guess for Dragon, in the arena, in Hydra, I don't know. There's a whole ton of places where you're going to be getting those debuffs coming at you pretty consistently. So Stolta's Dragonbane for a guaranteed champion. He's got defense in all battles as well. He is really good. Yeah, he's going to be an absolute godsend to people that have saved their shards and gone in for this guy. And as I say, at the same time, we've then got a 10 times on a bunch of champions, and they're all from the new faction, Sylvan Watchers. So I guess let's go through them. I'm not going to go through in tons of detail because I feel like I've spoken about these guys a lot recently, but Ruella is in the mix. Probably the best epic from this faction for general content. She's an absolute boss slayer. Yeah, so for Finite, for Spider, she does a load of work. Triple hit A1. Each crit pushes steals turn meter, not pushes back, steals turn meter by a bit. This is nice for Finite. It's nice for Spider as well. A2, another triple hit. Don't forget, multi-hits against Finite shields are really good. And has got a good chance of placing. This is each hit, and it's been tested. Has got, if you book her, 70% chance of placing these. It's almost like saying 100% this is going on, right? Drop defense, weaken, and decrease speed. 3 absolutely massive boss changing debuffs to put out there. And she's also got this turn meter feel and increased crit rate for a team on the A3 on a 3 turn as well, which makes her relevant for stuff like Clan Boss and Hydra and that as well. So massive base speed. She hits for a decent amount, but not insane damage. But yeah, she's a really good boss slaying champion. Next one up is Dythe, Mist Rider. So we got here A1, chance to remove buffs. Also, I don't love this about him, but there's a chance to get an extra turn. Sometimes that's cool, but if you're trying to like tune a team to do stuff, that's not cool. Not cool, man. AoE drop defense, which is going to be really clutch for this faction. Also hits pretty damn hard and gets an extra turn if it's placed on all enemies. And then a self-buff and increased attack, increased crit rate, extra turn on the A3. So he's just kind of like one of these dudes that can cycle extra turns. A bit like an upgraded Whisper, I'd say. Hits hard as well. Hits for good damage and got increased accuracy for all battles. Again, this is going to be a good champion to help you progress through this faction for Faction Wars, but also you get him early, he's just going to be a bit of a carry for your team. Who else is in there? Cormac. This dude, I'd say he's one of my least favorite of this faction, but got decreased speed A1, decreased defense A2, and then self-buffing, accuracy and crit rate, and then extra turn A3. He hits for okay damage. He gives you increased attack in all battles, but for me, he's probably the least useful of the faction. You know, I guess for faction war bosses, these 2 debuffs are good. It's all single target. It's all okay damage, not anything silly. And then we've got the... Oh, we're on to... I think we're on to legendaries here. Yeah, Green Warden. Oh, this guy. I was like, Green Warden, where is he? Ruark. Yeah, so this guy's cool as well. Also, what a skin this is, by the way. Absolutely love this skin. But yeah, high defense, defense-based champion, high speed, high HP as well. He's a bit like, really, the Guarantee, the Dragonbane, in effect. Like, he's got a very similar style of kit. Probably doesn't do quite the same level of damage, but we've got a transfers all debuffs from him and gets a heal for each debuff that's transferred. That's quite an understated skill. Like, that is big. If he's got tons of debuffs on him in the A1s, he's just going to throw them back at someone. Like, anti-hedgy type of territory here. Or, yeah, I mean, a whole bunch of content where this can actually be really effective. AoE A2 with a decreased attack and steals continuous heals, which cannot be resisted. And then a taunt and increased defense and strengthen on himself. On a 4 turn, it's not brilliant. Taunt buff, we're still kind of... I think we're still trying to find out where this is really good. I mean, for Clan Boss, it is decent to control where the stun's going to go. There's not that many other places where I feel like Taunt at the moment is that effective because everyone can still use all of their main abilities on you. So if you Taunt, well, a lot of the main abilities are AoE and it kind of negates the point of Taunt. But yeah, I'm still not sure. But Strengthen on himself and increased defense is good. And then we've got a passive here. Whenever an ally loses more than 10% of their max HP from a hit, gives them a shield for that 10% max HP, which is quite a cool passive, which could be booked to 0 cooldown. So just constantly doing these annoying shields, which is quite cool. But overall, I mean, increased defense in all battle. think his kit is good, but not like game changer. I don't think he's one of the real kind of power creep champions of this faction. Another one in the mix is King Galkabar. This guy is, again, looks damn sweet. So we've got a shield giving a 1 shield on the ally with the lowest HP. And you can build him high HP here. Again, good base stats. Got an AoE A2. Remove all buffs. Then put poisons out there and block buffs. This is a great A2 on a 3-turn. We've got a full cleanse on the A3. And putting continuous heals on your team. And a shield on your team as well. Again, a great A3. And then whenever an enemy under a poison attacks an ally under a shield, it's a bit of a if this, then that, if that, instantly activates a poison. This is kind of like, I think it's too much of a if this is going to happen, then it's great type of setup. But an interesting passive, I guess. But yeah, I like the A3. I like the A2. This guy will be really valuable in tons of content. You know, a full cleanse is valuable all over the place. Hydra, Doom Tower bosses, Faction Wars, and an AoE kind of remove enemy buffs is also really strong nowadays. So yeah, decent champ. We've also got Elva Altenboard in there as well. This is one of the best champions in this faction. Basically, a cross between a kind of like a Sifi and a Duchess, I would say. Increased speed in all battles, massive base stats again. Continuous heal popping out on our A1. A full kind of cleanse of debuffs from allies again. Yeah, with replacing it with the block debuffs and increased speed. And then a single target revive with turn meter with buffs. Just really solid champion. Nice passive as well. It's got that kind of like passive Sifi style heal and putting out perfect veils. Yeah, really, really strong legendary champion. And in the void, it's going to be Alil, whose kit is nuts, but actually doesn't hit hard enough to make his kit as nuts as it should be. That's the truth about this guy. So he is strong, but not crazy. And we thought he was going to be crazy. So what's he got? He's got steal all buffs from a target A1. This cannot be resisted. First time he does it. And then every other time he does it to that same target, it will just hit harder and harder. So in the arena, this is kind of nuts to just wipe out all of the enemy buffs. Especially if someone's locked out your steals just like that. I don't care. I've still got a crazy A1. His A2, this is the one that needs to hit hard. And it hits for an okay amount of damage. So it's a single target hit. Ignores all of the big buffs in the game. But doesn't ignore defense. So you still have to do things like drop defense, savage gear. Like all of those mechanics to enable it to hit hard enough to one-shot someone. If it does one-shot someone, he gets Stone Skin, which is one of the best buffs in the game. So it's the first ability that we've seen that can ignore Stone Skin, which is a cool mechanic. But he doesn't quite have the multipliers, even though he's got this crazy base attack, to make this insane. So he's just good, he's not insane. And then the AoE here, so before attacking, removes increased defense, puts out decreased defense. Removes strength and puts out weaken. If you've got a setup that makes that work, then it's great, but it doesn't like go through block buffs, so it doesn't necessarily land. Yeah, again, it's almost too conditional for it to make it work. It hits for a decent amount of damage, but not crazy. I love that none of his kit can be resisted. That's the insane thing. Doesn't need accuracy in his kit, but he doesn't quite hit hard enough to make it work. He does have here as well a nice passive. So basically, for more attack you pump in, he's going to get more defensive stats, which makes him naturally tanky when he's doing damage. And this passive part here as well, the field turn meter, whenever enemies receive a buff, just kind of makes him an insane go second champion. But again, this needs to hit probably for about another 30% to what it does right now to really get the benefit out of Alil. Or it needs to ignore a certain amount of defense, like 25% defense, to really make him insane. But there you go, guys. Look, guaranteed champion. A good set of champions in the ×10 if you've got shards saved up. Who's got shards? Raider absolutely pulverizing us on the shard events back to back to back to back to back. But if you do pull shards, I guess you're going to get pretty far through this Revenant's path. Anyway, I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.